Hello, this is the Lord's Legion and welcome to another movie review, and as you can see from the thumbnail and title, I'm going to be reviewing Black Panther. And how have I seen this film earlier than most people, you may ask? Well, in the UK we always seem to get the MCU films before anyone else for some reason, so that kinda answers your question. And does Black Panther live up to the hype? Well, how about we jump right into this? Now, going into Black Panther, I had such high expectations because it was my most anticipated comic book film of 2018. And while I'm still skeptical on whether or not Infinity War will bite off more than it could possibly chew, and while Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't seem that interesting in my eyes, given all of the talent going into Black Panther, I had such confidence in that it's going to be a great film. And believe me when I say this, but I've been dying to see the Black Panther film before even the first Avengers came out. And this is coming from a white guy. But enough beating around the bush, how does this film play out? And I'm just gonna say this right here now, not only does Black Panther live up to my expectations, it surpasses them. Because Black Panther is such a beautiful film, not just visually, but also in terms of its narrative. Now, at its core, the plot for Black Panther is very simple, as it centers around T'Challa coming back to Wakanda after the death of his father, and he takes the responsibility in becoming the new king of Wakanda, a hidden country in Africa that is more technologically advanced than any other country in the world. And with the combined forces of Eric Killmonger and Claw, it is up to T'Challa as the new king of Wakanda to defend his people, and try to figure out what kind of king he wants to be. Chadwick Boseman pretty much embodies every aspect of T'Challa and Black Panther. You actually get to feel him as a king, a warrior, a hero, and just an all-around great man. In Civil War, we saw Black Panther as more of a badass character, while in this, we actually get to see him more as a person, and that's what I really love about this film. And if you really enjoyed him in Captain America Civil War, then you're really gonna love him in this film. Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger is such a phenomenal villain. He was memorable, sinister, and just downright sympathetic. And without spoiling anything from the movie, Eric Killmonger is a misunderstood monster. You can understand his pain, and everything he does match up to his motivations, and that's what I love about this villain. And in my eyes, Eric Killmonger is up there as one of the best MCU villains we have ever had within a film. Letitia Wright as Shuri is also such an amazing character in this film as well, because she is such a smartass and a genius. Many people deem her to be the Wakandan version of Tony Stark, and you can kinda see why. Because she's a wisecracking genius who actually does help out within the narrative altogether. Lupita Nyong'o also did a great job as Nikita. And unlike most love interests throughout the MCU films, she actually can hold her own as well. Donai Gurira as Okoye was also a huge standout in this film, as she had some of the most badass action scenes in the entire movie. And in some areas she even outshines the Black Panther in some of these action scenes. Daniel Kaluuya as W'Kabi was also an interesting character, as he wants what's best for his very own people. And what this movie does with that character is very fascinating. Martin Freeman as Everett K. Ross was given a bit more to do in this movie than he had in Civil War, and it was incredibly fun to see an outsider teaming up with some of the Wakandans, and it was quite funny to see him interacting with Wakanda as a whole. Winston Duke did a very good job playing M'Baku, and despite how he was never once named as Manape in this film, he was still very much as brutal as he was from the comics. And I very much appreciate this version of M'Baku because he's such a fresh take on the character, while at the same time has the exact essence of Manape. And finally we have Andy Serkis as Claw, who was such a hammy villain, but at the same time he was so enjoyable. And what really intrigues me about Claw is the fact that he was more memorable than half of the MCU villains from the past. And he is only a side villain, which to me shows how this film fleshes out each character. And to me, all of the main characters are very well defined. Now, what really amazes me about Black Panther is the fact that the film took its time to establish Wakanda and show us all of the different tribes and cultures. To me, Wakanda felt like an actual place, and it had so much life in there. And there was also a lot of places that this film explores within Wakanda as well. And the most surprising part about this is the fact that Black Panther took more time into establishing Wakanda than pretty much the entire 4 trilogy. And yet, Black Panther only does this with one film, which is such an accomplishment. that. The action pieces in this film were also so breathtaking. They were well shot, well choreographed, and almost all of the fight scenes in this film felt completely different and fresh. And despite how some of the CG in the fight scenes looked a little rubbery in some areas, I can forgive that because of how well they were trying to do the fight scenes. And it really didn't distract me all that much. The costumes and set designs in this film also seem completely different from the MCU, but in a good way, because it just gives Black Panther more of an identity of its own. And all of the costumes and set designs were so stylized and it felt so fresh. And some people might find it to be a little slow near the beginning, but because of how well they established Wakanda as well as the characters, it never really phased my mind once. And to me, the overall pacing as well as the narrative just worked so well together. And I love pretty much every second of this film, because although it focuses more on characters than action, when we do actually get to see the action pieces, they look so incredible. And to me, Black Panther has the perfect balance of both action as well as drama. But in the end, Black Panther works on pretty much every level. It works as a superhero film, it works as an MCU film, it works as just an action film in general, and it also works on a political film. And the best thing about it all is the fact that Black Panther can actually stand on its own. You don't even have to watch the other films in the MCU or even Captain America Civil War to understand this character as well as this fictional world. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, I was dying to see this character done justice on the big screen, and after all of this waiting, I think that this was so worth the wait. And despite some of the nitpicks I had with this film, I can easily look past it all because it's such a phenomenal film. So because of the amazing cast as well as characters, as well as the brilliant action and set pieces, and just how personal the story really is, this is why I have to give Black Panther the final verdict of a perfect 10 out of 10. I can't stress this enough, but I love Black Panther to death. And very rarely do I ever call a film to be beautiful both visually as well as story-wise, but Black Panther certainly fulfills that mold. And I know that this is such a huge bold statement to make, but I honestly think that Black Panther could very well be the best film within the MCU. I will admit that I do have to see the film a couple more times over before I actually crown it to Black Panther, but as I currently stand right now, it is in the top 3 for sure. And the way I see Black Panther, I can honestly believe that this is the MCU's equivalent of both Logan and The Dark Knight. This film is that up there with me. So are you excited to finally see the Black Panther within a matter of days, or have you already seen the film? And if you've already seen Black Panther, what do you think of the film as a whole, and where would you personally rank it within the MCU films? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video, please like and subscribe, take care and have a good one.